This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 529, recorded on March 31st, 2022. Here at Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the Average Guy.TV studios here in beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. Not quite San Francisco, California, but we'll talk about that here in a second. And, of course, we'll post some show notes, and tonight probably we'll have a few after the show for you out at the Average Guy.TV. Tonight, I have Cody Soodeen with us. He's the designer, engineer, CEO, co-founder, and oversees product development for Cara Water. And Cody, welcome to Home Gadget Geeks. Great to have you.
Yeah, Jim, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. We're looking forward to getting into the nitty gritty here.
Yeah, you know, the device we're going to talk about, your Cara Pure device, fits right into the Home Gadget Geeks world. This is one of these things we're seeing more and more of, these kind of water purification, in your case, water creation devices, make their way. They're getting more sophisticated. They're getting more gadgety. They're getting apps associated with them, like whatever, right? At Gallup, we just had a summit last year. We gave everybody these water bottles that tracks the amount that you drink, and then it buzzes you during the day if you're not drinking enough water, those kinds of things. And so you're in the water business. Let's take a second to get to know you a little bit. Can you give me a little bit on your background and just a little bit of how you ended up where you're at today?
Yeah, totally happy to. So now my background, I'll start with my professional career. Before I transitioned into Cara Water, I had always wanted to be an architect growing up, and went to school for architecture, which is actually where I came up with this idea for Cara Water when I was in my sophomore year. And went to school for architecture, graduated, and then I went to work right in New York City. Luckily, got a great job at one of the biggest firms, KPF, and was able to work on the largest project, the largest development in New York history since the Rockefeller Center, which is Hudson Yards. That was straight into the fire, but it was great, good learning experience. Did that for 2 years, and then I went to had an opportunity in London. It was actually like a temporary, replacing somebody who was supposed to be the permanent person. I ended up becoming the permanent person, stayed there for 4 years in London, helped build out the first ever international branch for my architectural consulting firm that I worked for. I was 22, and helped build that out, client-facing, production, admin, hiring, whatever you could think of, I had to do it, and did that for 4 years. In 2018, I replaced myself as I wouldn't say I was director, but I was proposed director. I didn't want to be because I wanted to go full-time on Cara Water. Hired the director, and then left the company to go full-time on Cara Water. And that was again 2018. 2019, during 2018, I took a lot of time to really develop the company, no longer just the technology. Over the previous years, I had spent a lot of time developing the technology. I spent 11 years doing this so far now. So it's been a long way coming, so really happy to get here finally.
Yeah. And you released a product on Indiegogo late last year, right? And it's now, and we're going to talk some more about that. But congratulations! Like, it's not easy to get a product all the way from an idea to a concept to engineered to developed, built, deployed, sold, right? All those things. Are you sleeping at all? Are you getting any sleep at?
I mean, I was just saying, I want to get my first tattoo to commemorate all the nights and evenings and days and years that I didn't sleep building this company.
Yes. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about this. Let me show this device so people know what we're talking about. I'm just streaming the video right off your website at Cara Water. Cara Water, KARAWATER.com. Can you talk a little bit about this device that we're seeing here?
Yeah, I would love to. This was actually our first ever professional video that we did. And I remember I had to find the actors, find the producers, find the editors, all of it. It was fantastic. Find the location. It was great. But the product itself, Cara Pure, takes humidity from the air and produces alkaline drinking water from it. So alkaline mineral drinking water from it. And again, that was by choice. Primarily, it produces drinking water purely, but we wanted to make it a very, very healthy drinking water, as people just don't drink enough water. So we wanted to make sure you're getting something good when you drink it. So the technology itself is really, really cool. I mean, we can get into it a little bit later, but two different ways to do this. There's compressor, which is like refrigerant. So you get to the dew point by lowering the temperature and you condense the water. We use desiccants. And a desiccant is like the little packets in your shoebox that keep the box dry. And that's a natural phenomenon that enacts van der Waals forces to, like a magnet, positive and negative water and the molecule it attaches to attract like a magnet, and it captures the water out of the air just from airflow. So that's what we employ. So it's highly sustainable. It's a lot quieter, and it's also a lot more affordable compared to, well, the technology itself there is just better for the environment, which is great.
Now, wait a minute. Those little packets that we get inside of our tech gear to keep things, those aren't snacks? I thought those were snacks.
You know, it's funny. When I thought about the same thing when I first started doing research into this technology, and you know why they say not to eat it? It's not that it's silica. Silica it's not harmful. It's the most abundant element on Earth. What is harmful is that they add cobalt to silica, so it turns blue, so that you know it's wet. So the cobalt is actually what's harmful, not the silica.
This is the harmful process. Well, that's, my kids said that joke to me at Christmas time, that we opened something, one of those packets fell out, and they were like, snacks. And we all thought that was the funniest. I had never heard that before. So when you mentioned on the website, you mentioned this kind of the alkaline, or the what you're made. Why is that important? Like, why can't, what, isn't all water the same? But why is that important to you?
That's a great point. You know, we always have to defend that point. And I myself, I'm not a fad person. I'm not a person that likes to do trendy things. I don't wear name brand anything. So when we understood that what people were looking for was healthy water, and we looked into it, and we see that there's the Essentias of the world, there's the Fiji waters of the world, and these guys sell hundreds of $1 million a year of bottled water. And if that's who we got to work, if that's who we're competing against, you know, to reduce plastic bottle waste, we had to match that, right? So we did some deeper dive research into alkaline water, and I don't mean by like WebMD or like, you know, Health Magazine. I'm talking about like scientific studies that were peer reviewed, you know, from creditable sources. And I, you know, wanted to make sure that I could defend any claim that I put out there, and I didn't want to put something out that wasn't defensible. So, you know, one of the claims about alkaline water and the ability to reduce the acidic environment in your body. This is the simplest way I like to put it. You know, if you eat acidic foods, drink a lot of coffee, eat a lot of meat, you get acid reflux, you get heartburn, right? Plain and simple. We all know this is a common thing. The inverse of acidic is alkaline. So if you drink a lot of alkaline water or have an alkaline diet, you reduce the acidity in your body, which can reduce heartburn, which can reduce acid reflux. It's the most simple way to explain it when it comes to the ability to, you know, have an alkaline diet or drink alkaline water. There's tons of other benefits. That's the easiest way I like to explain it.
And are there any processes? Walk us through kind of from because you're pulling this out of the air. I mean, what if I'm in Arizona and it's a naturally dry climate? You're there in San Francisco. You have the benefits of the fog rolling in on a fairly regular basis. It's pretty, you know, high humidity there. Is it better in humidity in high humid environments versus maybe something that's dry? Talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, totally. So, you know, we understand that this is a environmentally driven technology. It's a pure fact. But that's actually it's not a negative for us. It's actually a positive, because then it tells us, well, where can we sell it to? What's the best place that can help a lot of people to sell this to? And, you know, places like Florida, Texas, California were some of our best areas that we sold into. Then we have places that you wouldn't think about, like Vancouver. It's super humid in Vancouver. Great place that's sold into. Iceland is actually super humid. Parts of Germany, like Hamburg, are super humid. Australia coast, super humid. We had a lot of great traffic in these areas. And these places, what you find where there's a lot of humidity because of sea or lake, is that there's actually not a lot of access to clean drinking water, right? Which is weird because of contamination or pollution. just because there's some conservation on
Yeah.
some of their water, right? So we find that actually these are the best places that need it. Think about like Thailand or China, something like that. They have poor water quality, but they have a lot of water, a lot of access to it, but just poor water quality or poor infrastructure for that reason too.
How much water? And so I'm imagining, you mentioned that like 10 liters a day. Is that pretty dependent upon the humidity that's around you and the drier environments? Is that going to drop down? How's that work?
Yeah, we get that question a lot. It's probably, and as I answer this question more and as more we, are able to observe the product in use, we learn a lot more from it. So what the answer is that what we used to say was, yes, between 60 and 80% humidity, you'll get roughly 10 liters of water. That's what you have for the day. What we find more of now, that's still, the true fact of it, is it's not about the 10 liters, it's about how much are you going to use those 10 liters per day. So if you're not work from home, you go to an office every day, or you have to go to work, or you are out gym, or if you're out with friends, whatever it may be, it's still making water. So if you're home for half the day, it's typically full by the time you get home. You may drink 1 or 2 liters for the evening. I have a house of 6.
Yeah.
We would constantly use it, never ran out. And I would never even mention to the people that were using it, like how much water that was there, because I wanted to actually see myself. Is this going to run out? Never did. And we always hosted guests and all those things, never ran out. So that was more of what we see is how much is someone going to use this? And will it always be making water? No, actually, we found that it was mainly in standby, almost always full. The reason being is that people don't drink enough water.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
We're habitually dehydrated, right? I mean, we just don't. We just don't drink. It's amazing. We live in a country where, for the most part, and there's exceptions now, and it's getting worse. And I think this can address something like that. But where clean water is accessible just about everywhere, and yet we're horribly dehydrated all the time. It's one of those. I mentioned we gave out a water bottle at our conference, and it tracks when you fill it up and how often you drink, and then you can set some drinking goals. Which I was like, do we really need goals for water? But yeah, apparently we do. And it reminds you, at the end of the day, hey, you haven't had enough water. You mentioned, you think about, you compared, we had the guys at Flow Water on last summer, and they heavily filter groundwater, and you're pulling it from the air, and still filtering it. First of all, talk a little bit about the filtering process. What are you doing? Because there's a lot of crap in the air too, right? I mean, it's not the cleanest. That's not the cleanest place in the world anymore. So talk a little bit about what you're doing filtering and how that's different than ground filtering.
Sure. And that's a major point of why people buy Car Pure, actually, and I'll get into that. So, think at the time, typically, when things evaporate, not everything becomes airborne. So most of the heavy metals or dirts or things that are in groundwater don't actually become airborne when water evaporates. It becomes more pure. Yes, some things through wind will get picked up into the air and air movement, or just natural exhaust of things. So what we do is we first have an air intake filter. It's a large particle filter, so that removes anything large particle. It's more like your dryer, how your dryer can keep dust from getting out of your dryer, or going to somewhere it shouldn't and building up. Then second to that, which is very unique to what we have in our product compared to refrigerant-based technology, because we use a desiccant, as I mentioned, it naturally captures water from the air. It works towards equilibrium. So it'll get as saturated as the humidity is in the room. So what you need to do is you have to keep drying it out, regenerating it. The process of regeneration is with the heating process. So the heating process continually keeps that desiccant very, very dry, so that as you pass air over it, you continually can absorb water out of the air. It's a direct formula. So as you heat it, you have to imagine that it has to be at some level of steam temperature for steam, which is around 100 degrees Celsius. At 100 degrees Celsius, it kills viruses, bacteria, and germs in the air. So as you're steaming it, you're technically creating distilled water that then passively condenses into the tank. So technically it's distilled water, and it's also a really, really powerful air purifier that uses age-old technology of heat to kill viruses and bacteria in the air.
How often, because it's doing all that, how often do I have to change internal components to to kind of keep it clean?
Yeah, so with the background in architecture, I've had a lot of heavy focus on user experience when designing Car Pure, and I really wanted to. I always tell this. I remember, like, you have your refrigerator that pours water, and then you lose your mind when you go to try to change your filter because you think it's going to break. You're just positive you're going to break it. It's never going to work again. You have this bad experience in user experience. So in Car Pure, their filter, the air filter, is cleanable by vacuum. You don't have to take it out. You can just take a vacuum to it. You just take the vacuum to the inside of it. The door opens on the back hinge. There's no screwdrivers, no wrenches, no tools required. You can just open it with a key that comes and take a vacuum to it. That's also the same for the filters. As the filters need to be changed, you don't have to open anything up with a screwdriver or take any screws out. There's a twist off filter, twist it off, get the new ones, pop them in, twist it back on, slides, it like folds back down on a hinge, and you're done.
That
Super simple.
That sounds pretty simple to get that done.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the point. So just to answer your question, that component that absorbs the water and kills the virus and bacteria has a 5 to 7 year lifespan, and it only has a 5% degradation over those 5 years to 7 years.
That's pretty long. That's and for most people, it's on all the time. It's creating, let's just say, between 5 and 10 liters a day if it's being used pretty constantly, maybe different. Does it, if it's not being used, so if it fills up and shuts off, I'm assuming you could get a little bit more life if that's going to be kind of, if that's going to be a standard, if it's going to be, maybe weekend use or something like that, maybe last a little bit. Would that be true?
Yep, for the most part. The filters are actually rated for 6,000 liters. But regardless of 6,000 liters, so again, if you make 10 liters per day, that's 3,600 liters per year, right? At max. That means that you still have about 2,400 liters left in lifespan of your filter. The reason that not just us, but any company that uses filters for water recommend changing them annually, it's not because that filter has no lifespan left. It's that filters tend to grow mold after a year. And for safety and health precautions, you change your filters.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. On the water side, taking fresh water, groundwater, turning it into clean drinking water, you've always, you're probably dealing with even more particulates, even more components, right? In that, and makes that process even harder, I would imagine.
Yeah, and as I mentioned when you first asked the question, honestly, the biggest driving force for why people purchased Car Pure was that they solely drink bottled water. And then when we asked them why do they only drink bottled water, we're finding more and more, and this will continue to become more of a factor, and especially in the United States, that people are having traumatic experiences with their tap water, filtered or not, and they just entirely move away from it. Mm-hmm. They don't want to use it ever again. They've had some bad experience. They get some type of sickness or whatever from it, and they don't trust it anymore. Mm-hmm. Or, for example, somebody in Florida had mentioned that their town had alerted them that they had bacteria in their water. Even though the town said that it was bacteria-free, like a month later, never drank their tap water again. Mm-hmm. They just didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard. It gets hard to trust at that point. Brian's asking a question from the chat room. He says, have you found most interest? We're going to talk a little bit about pricing here and maybe market segment just a second, but have you found most interested potential customers are businesses or individuals? As you did this first round, what are you seeing in the numbers?
Yeah, so, I really focused heavily on the D2C, direct to consumer channel, understanding one thing, that a lot of the technologies that are competitive to us, they are very industrial looking. Not something you want to put in your home, nonetheless your office. It doesn't look good. And I put a heavy emphasis on design for Car Pure, and that really resonated with people. And we found that a lot of homeowners, a lot of individuals were our strongest kind of customer base. We do find that there's a lot of opportunity in the hospitality space, like the Four Seasons of the world, and putting these into their suites and their lobbies. It just complements their brand. So we focused heavily on brand and consumer experience. If this is going to be in your home, you don't want to have to put in a closet. You want to put it out somewhere, make the conversation piece.
Yeah, it does look nice. Let me we'll bring up the bring up the product page on that, and we saw it in the video early here. Looks very nice. I don't have to run a water line to it, right? That's kind of, I could put it anywhere. Yeah. It does require, I'm assuming it acquires power. Is it US right now? Is it US only? Or are you guys shipping these overseas? How's that working?
All over.
Okay.
So we ran the campaign globally. We are now the Indiegogo campaign was a global campaign. We actually just like a few days ago limited it to North America and Australia, and the rest of the world will be trafficked through our website. Reason being is it's just more expensive to ship globally, manufacture globally. The US is such a large base of our sales, it's easier to ship a container versus a few units elsewhere.
Yeah. So $3,500 price point, how are you finding folks responding to that, and talk a little bit about that market segment?
So we just released that price point. We had run the campaign, it's currently at, we just bumped it up from $17.99 to $19.99. And obviously that did really well. We crossed $1 million not too long ago. And pre-sales, and as soon as we listed this, within 1 hour, we had 2 or 3 purchases. So it's been really well received. And I'll be honest with you, I think that, I don't know if you came across this yet. I actually didn't know why. We saw a huge spike in traffic on our website. We don't run any ads to our website. We don't run any promotions to our website. And then recently, someone that's a home maintenance person in my building sent me a video, and we were in that video. It has 4.5 million views.
Wow.
It's called Inventions of the Future by TechZone. And I was like, I didn't even know we were in that till 2 weeks later. So that's where the traffic came from, and a lot of the conversions came from as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find for the average consumer, thinking, I guess if you're prioritizing a fresh drinking water supply and you're in a spot where, even here in the United States where that is not, we do have some really poor pockets now, if you think of like Flint, Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Do you find, are you getting any civic, or do you have any, have you had any like, cities or municipalities contact you about scaling this out a little bit bigger? I know, you're kind of doing it at the home level because that kind of makes sense, but has there been any talk of scaling this out to be any larger?
Yeah, we have had so much opportunity from that campaign because it was so visible. We've had to waitlist people. We've become that person at this point. Like we can't work with you. We don't have the capacity, the resources. So we've been shortlisting people, and there's just, it's not to sound like egotistical. I'm super grateful for this, but we have so much opportunity. We're picking what works best for us based on financial models and sales and whatnot, and who can help us grow sustainably. I tell my team every day, one foot in front of the other. Don't bite off more than you could chew. Just do it right. Let's get this technology more mainstream. The opportunity will always be there. We'll make it happen. But I don't want to go too fast. I want to grow sustainably and make sure the company can, get into where it needs to when it can. So we're really focusing on the D2C, the home consumer now. We will look to move more into some B2B soon, some hotels, hospitality, some restaurants, coffee shops, spas, things like that, and then we'll look to get into the B2G later down the road. I also want to vet out the technology and develop it a little bit further before that.
From an engineering standpoint, is if I want 20 liters, is it just making it twice as big? Is it that simple, or does it get harder
Scaling
because the math doesn't work?
So it's volume of your space. So if I have a big room, there's a lot more water vapor in there, right? And then it's a stronger fan that will help pull in more water. But it's still directly proportionate to the surface area of the test can that we're using.
So in theory, could you?
But I also want to spend some time on that.
Yeah. In theory, could you, if you had a fairly high moisture content, and you could get it maybe a bigger device? In theory, does that work to be able to generate for, like, I would think like a hotel? You may go through that a little bit faster. Or maybe would they do multiple units instead of having one big unit?
Yeah.
Would they maybe install 2 or 3 of them? Would that work?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the idea, is that we look at these other products that do 30, 40 liters a day, and I'm like, it's this deep.
Yeah.
And it's like this tall, and it has this crazy techie interface. And I'm like, who are you selling this to? Who's going to use that? You know?
Yeah, we've seen some of those. We interviewed last year. We interviewed big, they're kind of big units. They've got big filters in them, right? And they're doing a nice job, right? It's just it's a bigger kind of unit. You talked about, this has really started kind of kicked off for you in 2018. Of course, we've had a small little pandemic go sweep around the world. How has that affected, if you're saying, hey, we're able to kill virus, right? We're able to, this can pull it at. Was there some concern during COVID that, like, do we really want to be pulling things out of the air with COVID around? Just how people are unreasonable
Yeah.
in that. Yeah.
When we knew that this was an air purification technology as well,
Mm-hmm.
but we really didn't dive too deep into it. You don't want to offer too many things and confuse people.
Mm-hmm.
Our primary offering is drinking water, right? So we had a third party during COVID. We had a third party lab test our technology against the flu virus, the H1N1 virus, which is the same structure as COVID. And what we found was actually like astonishing. It had a 99.9% removal rate of the flu virus in space. So because we haven't been able to test it against COVID, we can't make the claim that it kills COVID, but it does kill the flu virus, which is pretty similar.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good test, for sure. Do you find, will you approach it from an air purification, space to see, or do you want? Go ahead. Yeah.
I think we found our lane and we want to stick with it. You know what I mean? If people want to buy it for that, if that's your sole purpose and you're searching for something, you're like, I get an added benefit of water, by all means, that's you. That's for you, right? But if you want an air purifier, you're probably just going to look for specifically an air purifier. That's great. That's fine. But, definitely down the road, we'll look too, but we want to stick to what our primary value prop is now.
Yeah, it's a space. It is a space. It's a whole nother space, right? When we think about those that are out there. Are there any environmental concerns if I'm, the atmosphere has moisture in it. If I say this goes large scale and everybody starts pulling the moisture out of the air, is there any concern that this could create, the butterfly effect, that it could have some kind of effect on in the environment long term if we're all doing this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I had asked this question. Well, I had a statement. We went through an accelerator program called Clean Tech Open in 2019. It's the world's largest clean tech accelerator. And I remember they were all focused on energy, carbon emission, carbon reduction. And I was like, what about water vapor reduction? But like, what do you mean? I was like, isn't water vapor the driving force of like hurricanes and storms? And it's actually the driving force of climate change, but it's related to the heat that's built up because of carbon. So if you drop carbon, you drop water vapor. But that's why we have harsher storms, harsher hurricanes, because so much water vapor is in the air because it's hot, and then it rapidly condenses. You have this massive storm that happens. And that's what keeps happening over and over again. So when you think about the question of like, where is our groundwater going? Because everyone asks that, like, it's drying up, it's going away, right? That's what we always hear, but you never think about like where to go. It's just going into the air. Yeah. It's just transfer energy, right? So just going into the air. So we have a massive amount of water in the air. It became a new source it's a new lake, it's a new ocean in the air to tap into, So it's definitely abundant.
You've experienced in California. You've experienced, and I grew up there. We maybe had one of these the whole time I was growing up, but these atmospheric rivers that come in off of
last couple of weeks. Yeah.
They come in and it just dumps, right? And interesting, same kind of conversation we're having around carbon capture and, putting that back in the ground. There's some, as you think about that, if the air is holding more moisture than it did, it seemed like it would be kind of, ripe for this kind of technology. What about are you getting approached? I mentioned about, municipalities maybe here in the United States, but does this have third world implications as far as getting fresh drinking water to villages that don't have any that? And any thought to adding some solar capabilities? It takes some power to get this. Any thought to adding solar to make it completely off grid?
Yeah, so that's one of the verticals we are definitely planning to get in there. As we start off early, when you build any product with a battery in there, it's so much harder to import or export. Lots more customs and costs come with it. So we not that we tabled it, but it's going to be later on. We wanted to get something out the door, get the product out there. So having a battery in there is going to add some more complication because you need an inverter. With the solar panels, you'd have more space that you need to take up, even if you have roof space. So the main thing that we're finding is just the electrification of the world is happening a lot more rapidly nowadays than it used to be. For example, I think almost every home in Australia has solar panels that feed into the grid. Yeah. Almost no energy is paid for anymore in Australia. So, when we think about things like that, the US is also pushing very hard for renewables to become the primary source of energy, especially under the Biden administration, right? So we think about that and we say, well, do we really want to upsell people on solar panels, or do we just keep going where we're going? And at some point it's going to get there pretty soon too, I think.
Yeah.
So as that comes into it, we will develop a technology to produce. It'll be smaller. Most people want to go bigger. I would rather go smaller. That takes a lot less energy. Be able to fit into your home. The story you always hear, especially when we were in India selling, is that they have these big RO systems in the center of a village that produce a lot of water, and you have to go there. You wait in line. You fill up your containers. It's the same thing as going to the river and filling it up, which still happens in Africa. Why should people have to leave their home? You know what I mean? Like, we don't leave our home. Why should they? Get something that would fit into their home. I find that more practical, a much better solution. So that's the direction I would go in if I were to develop this technology in a smaller scale that would, fulfill the need of a small family, or in the village.
It's good. It's a great answer. As we look at this design here, what I expect from a power draw, if I'm, there's some parts of the country, you're in one of them, where energy is pretty expensive. What would I expect from a power draw from a unit like this?
Yeah, so we're doing, again, this is still pretty early stage. There's a lot of room for growth. And I always caveat that by saying compressor technology has been developed for the last, God knows how long, super long time. Compressor technology is way ahead. Desiccant technology, the last 20 years, maybe like 3 or 4 companies have helped develop it. There's not a lot of research done there. There's a lot of room for growth and opportunity in there. And that's what makes me excited about this technology. One, it's sustainable. One, it's more environmentally friendly. It's quieter. And there's a lot of room for growth in the energy reduction that we used so far. So we're currently at 1.4 kilowatts per liter, which is pretty high, but we're going to continually reduce that. And again, at 50% usage is what we're seeing. So that brings it down to about 0.7 kilowatts per hour that you're going to see, because people are only using it 50% of the day. And that will then bring it down, depending, I'll use New York numbers, which is around 21 cents per kilowatt, about 13 cents, 12 to 13 cents per liter of premium drinking water that's equivalent to Fiji, right? So it's pretty decent, especially if you're already buying bottled water.
Yeah. Well, and a lot better from a less plastic perspective. I mean, we
Totally.
definitely have a plastic problem when it comes down to that. Here in Nebraska, pretty wild temperature swings and pretty wild humidity swings. In the summer, I'm running an air conditioner to remove the moisture from the inside of my house. Any thoughts on thinking about the placement of this condenser so I could get it in the optimal place? In the summer, it'd be optimal to have it outside. In the winter, of course, you wouldn't want that. I could freeze, right? So when we think of conditions outside of, listen, I grew up in San Jose. I know how beautiful the weather is all year long, but the rest of us live in some pretty, harsh conditions. Any thoughts on maximizing that to take advantage of the current conditions outside?
Yeah, totally. So if you have central air, obviously don't put it over a vent, right? You don't want to be competing with that airflow. You want to put it in an open space. You want to have at least 6 inches off the wall. We know it's going to be something that goes up against the wall somewhere like that, or up against the surface. At least 6 inches from each vent off the wall. And you want to put it away again from any vents that you have. Additionally, the larger the space, the better. So if you're putting it into like a small dining room, may not be the best place. You want to put it in the living room or your kitchen if it's bigger, right? Whatever the biggest spaces you have that you feel comfortable putting it into, that's what we recommend. Again, away from vents, 6 inches off the wall, largest space that you could put it in. Mm-hmm. Those will all help to, overcome any volumetric changes of, water vapor in the air because of your HVAC system on or heaters that are on.
If I had a naturally damp room, I have a basement room that might just naturally hold water for whatever reason. Would that be like an ideal kind of situation?
Yeah,
You want this
totally.
near, you wouldn't want it in the the bottom of the house in the corner because you want people to use it, right? But that type. Uh, any thoughts to being able to today I can fill from the device? Could I come off of that with some plumbing and maybe move that, put it in one location and draw on it in another?
When you say put on some plumbing, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I mean, say I have a basement corner that's just naturally very, very moist. I put it down there to capture that. But I really want to run I want to run I want to run a hose up to the sink, so to speak, where I've got maybe one of those little water dispensers that I could do right off the sink. Any way I could, and I'm not saying you've built this in now, but a thought to having a water out that I could tap into to take it to another location.
We've thought of both of those. So we've thought of a water line in just in
Mhm.
case you have like no power and you want just water coming through your filters, so you have healthy
Yeah,
water.
yeah,
Or if you were to supplement, say you're in an office space or something. We've thought of that. We've thought of a water out that just requires a stronger pump, or if it's if you have a system built in already that you could attach it to. It's not that complicated. You just need a pump that can push the water depending on the distance that you're traveling
yeah.
to the faucet that you're going to. Totally. But I mean, you can also just get a jug of water, put it in your fridge from it.
Yeah, no, no, right on. Well, these are, we're thinking about these things all the time. It's like, okay, the tech guys that listen to this show are always like, how can I maximize the output of this thing to the nth? I want to get, we probably have some listeners who would say, do you have an app associated with it? And can I monitor the inside, how much water is in the tank, where the filters are at from a changing perspective? Is that available? Are you guys thinking about it? Talk a little bit about how do I monitor this thing?
Yeah, so that's actually going to be coming out in this batch of units that we're producing now for the Indiegogo campaign. You always have these visions of what you want. You want this amazing LCD screen, this amazing app, all these integration sensors, things that you can pull on and data, da da da. So we're going to do as much as we can. Obviously, not everything at once, but we will be having, a flow rate sensor that'll tell you how many plastic bottles you've offset. You will have an app that will tell you when your filters need to be changed. You will have hot, cold, and room temperature water. So those things will be integrated on the LCD. Additionally, this is a cool one. So recently, we're a we're an environmental impact and social impact company, but first, it's water. Got into the game to help bring water to people, not just design a pretty product. But we're going to partner with this company called Ocean Bottle, which is very similar to what you mentioned about the bottle that tells you when you need to drink more water. This takes it to the next level where every liter that you fill into the bottle or that you drink, they contract somebody in a third world country to go remove a liter of plastic bottle waste or pollution. So they physically go take that bottle, and those bottles they create are compressed of 1,000 recycled plastic bottles. So we're integrating that into our system, into the API, and every liter you pour, somebody will go physically pick up a bottle of water, and a plastic bottle that's in the ocean or wherever that country that has a lot of pollution, which is going to be really, really exciting and awesome to get into.
Good. Yeah, that sounds exciting. I think this is for my audience. They're going to want to see that LCD screen that's got all the different stats and what am I doing and how's it working and how much have I used and how much is it purified and what's the current humidity in the room.
Yep, that'll be there. All that.
Yeah, some of those kinds of things. So we're a lot of smart a lot of smart home automation type, even with I point back here because I have one of those Amazon devices to say, hey, a lady, tell me how much water I have in the tank, type deal. Is all those things I think those folks are looking for. Cody, anything else that I missed? I got just a couple minutes with you, and you need to move on, but anything else that I missed that you want to cover on this as you think about folks listening today?
I will say that, this, I know it's a little plug, but the campaign isn't going to be up there forever. And that price point is going to go away pretty soon as we start to transition to our website for full e-commerce sales. You offer the biggest discount that you can during a crowdfunding campaign. And that's what we did. So the price point that it is now, we tell everybody that's not going to be there forever. It's going to be the lowest price you can get it at. It's going to move towards the $34.99 price point very, very soon. So we're trying to encourage people, if they want to get it in their order in soon. Additionally, the shipping will be put in, it'll be shipped to you sooner than it would if you were to get it later on. So you save some money, get it sooner, and it's going to be the right time to get it. But I will say additionally on the technology side, it's definitely an up and coming technology. There's a lot of room for growth here, and it's exciting. So, anything that can localize, decentralize, that's where the way the world is going. So we're really excited to be able to push this forward, and we're super excited for all the support that we got to get this technology so widely received and such a well-received audience of it as well. So we're super excited about that.
So as of right now, the Indiegogo campaign has the best price. That's not going to be out there forever.
Yeah.
Is that right? And then, or you can, and it will transition to purchase to the price I showed, which is on the screen. So the Indiegogo price right now is what again? How much?
$19.99.
So
It
2000.
will move to $34.99 pretty soon.
Wow, that's a pretty significant discount. That's pretty great. Okay, well,
It was
folks,
$17.99 a couple days ago. We
yeah.
just bumped it up. So
Oh, I should have had you on sooner. Well, that's
Yeah,
okay.
right.
I mean, that's a significant savings over, over what it will be available for. Cody, one last question I just thought of. So you mentioned this smaller devices. Are you thinking maybe like a countertop device that would, when you think of smaller devices, that would less power, maybe a little more efficient, and then be able to hold 5 liters or something like that? Is that what you're thinking going forward in the future, possibly as another device?
Yeah, absolutely. Not to give any trade secrets away,
Yeah,
because
right.
everyone likes to go bigger. Everyone likes to go bigger, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do I like to do the opposite of what people are doing for the most part.
Yeah.
Find there's a niche in there all the time. So I would like to go smaller, have a very well designed product that could fit on your countertop. Like your Nespressos or something like that. That you actually looks nice. You enjoy having it there. Something that's simple, and be able to offer different types of water with your unit. That's what we want to get into, is offering different mineral content, flavored, caffeinated, anything you can think of really, so that we can offer people more options here. But yes, smaller countertop version, more energy efficient, less capacity, just more accessible.
Yeah.
Take up less space if you don't have a lot of wall space, so that you can fit it into a smaller home.
Yeah. I'd love to have it next
Obviously,
to
a lot more
my
affordable.
I'd love to have it next to my coffee maker, because we use distilled water for that, jugged distilled water, recycle the bottle, but still it would make it nice to be able to, when I need to fill up its water reservoir, just to take it from this and put it in that. And I would feel pretty confident that it would, although you keep the minerals right in your water, as opposed to a lot, the distilled water has the minerals taken out so that it doesn't build up in that, right? You're keeping the minerals, because that's really, we do want to drink water with some minerals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
good. Well, Cody, I know you got a hard stop, and I'll let you go. But thanks again. If you ever do get in a situation you want to come on, you got anything new you want to talk about? We'd love to have you back. So just ping me, and I'd love to have you on. If you get a smaller unit, or you got some new technology coming, or you want to talk about some stuff, we'd love to have you back. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
But what I was saying before I get another random phone call is I will send you a discount link just for this group, so you guys get a special discount on the campaign. So that will be, I'll give you guys a $17.99 special discount link if anybody's interested in getting their own car pure. So I'll give you guys a special link when we hop off here.
Yeah, appreciate that. That's always nice. We'll have that in the show notes and available to you. And I'll try to get it. If you can get it to me in the next day or so, I'll put it on screen so folks can see it on the video. So, Cody, I know you got to run. I don't want to make you late. I don't want to be the mean guy who made you late for the meeting. So thanks for coming out, and I appreciate it. Good luck to you and everything that's going on, and stay in touch with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll do. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. It was a great time being on the show.
Yeah.
Look forward to potentially come back on again later when we have some new products.
Anytime. Just give me a holler when you're ready to announce something, and we'll have you on.
Will do. All right. You
All
have a
right.
great
All
day.
right, Cody. Take care. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye. Couple reminders. Cody on his way out there, and a big thanks, Cody Soodeen again from Cara Pure, or yeah, from Cara Water, who makes the Cara Pure. That's what we've been talking about, and a fun interview. Hope you guys enjoyed it out there. If you're listening live, yeah, Uncle Marv says, "Cool tech." I think so. I think that's pretty sweet. Like, I'd love to have one of those. I'd actually, I've been thinking about putting a water dispenser down here because I just don't drink enough water, and his desktop version would be perfect. I could put it over here in the corner, and it would encourage me just when I'm thirsty to just go, I know that's lazy. It's totally lazy. Like, Jim, you could walk upstairs and you probably need the steps anyways to go up the stairs and, get water. But that'd be a cool little device. Again, he'll give me the code and put it in the show notes for the 17.99. That's a pretty great deal considering it's about half of what they're going to be here off the website. So appreciate that. Brian says thanks as well. And just an overall great guy. We will hoping to have him back as well. Hey, a couple reminders on the way out. One is the end of the month, the end of April. So not this month because it's already the end of the month. At the end of April, the 28th, we're going to do a tech news roundtable. And all we're going to do is if you've got some news that you want to talk about, and I'm giving you a couple weeks to kind of get ready for this, but invite you on if you've got, basically it's just a roundtable. It'll be me and three others, maybe you listening, coming to talk about some tech news. And we're going to give this roundtable format a try. Send me an email if you're interested in joining for that. I need a link to a news item. So it can't necessarily be, well, depends when you submit it, but can't necessarily be cutting edge in the moment like that day, right? We need a little bit of time, but it can be other things. And I'm not going to be able to take them all. If I get a ton of them, we'll have to figure it out. If I don't take you this time, maybe we'll take you next time, but send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. And let's see if we can get it. April 28th. We'll kind of give that a try. John Biggs is with us, I think, next week, talking a little bit about health tech. Let me double check that here just to make sure. Yeah, John's with us. And he's been prepping me with what he's getting ready for. So you're probably going to want to be here next week to be a part of this. And so he's coming out. And then got to schedule something for the 14th. Rich Hay is coming on. We got that roundtable on the 28th. Paul Braren's coming back on the 5th of May. Aaron Lawrence is scheduled again for the 12th. So we've got some good stuff coming up for you. Just might want to get ready for. Don't forget, you can join me for the YouTube premiere. We do this at noon every Saturday, noon Central, and theaverageguy.tv/YouTube if you want to join us. A couple of us chat. This is kind of fun. Last couple of weeks, I haven't had anybody, so I'd love to have you. So come out and join us on Saturdays. It's a little lonely by myself. I'm just sitting there waiting for you to chat with me. So get out there. Theaverageguy.tv/YouTube. Love to have you out every Saturday, noon Central. Then a big thanks to Gavin Campbell, who joined us last week. We talked about his Unify and Eero setups. I almost said Ubiquity, but Unify. Got a lot of great comments from you on that. A lot of Neil, thank you for your feedback and some details on that. Always great, Gavin. Thanks for coming on and being a part of it. And enjoyed that as well. Uncle Marv says in the chat room, he says, like you, I'd love to have that next to my coffee maker as well. Smaller units could be huge. As I was saying that, Marv, one of the things I was thinking, I don't want the minerals. I'm trying to get the minerals out. That's why I use that heavily distilled water, because it has the minerals taken out. I don't want that building up in my coffee maker. So that wouldn't work in that sense because they leave the minerals in. We really need to be drinking water with minerals, right? That's good for us. Our bodies were kind of made to do that, and or evolved, however you feel about that, to do that. As I kind of thought that through, I thought, well, okay, maybe I wouldn't feed that directly with the minerals in place, because of course the minerals build up on the heating device, some of those kinds of things. So Brian says, always fun to do a show Saturday mornings when I can. I've had a couple prior obligations the last couple of weeks and another this weekend. I hope to join again soon, and you can too. Saturday, those Saturday mornings, noon Central, be a part of it. We are live. Oh, and I should say big thanks to Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from those that you know and you trust. And of course, that's Christian. Does a great job. I'm actually behind on getting Cyber Frontiers out. Probably get it out this weekend. Probably do it tomorrow. And so if you haven't resubscribed to Cyber Frontiers, you might want to. Just a show we'll be working on and getting kind of back up to speed once a month, just 1 hour a month. You can subscribe to it. Big thanks again, Cody Soodeen, who joined us from Cara Water and the Cara Pure devices that we talked about, and I hope to have him back talking about that stuff. That stuff just I love that stuff. And again, I have a coupon code that I may be showing on the screen right now. I hope I have it. If you're on YouTube, I'm showing it on the screen right there. Probably won't last forever. So if you're going to take advantage of it, it's a big investment, but I don't know, maybe you're in a situation where you kind of need some clean water. If that works for you, use the coupon code that's available there. We are live every third. Oh, I should say, hold on, before I do that, I didn't do the beer pour. I wanted to get right to Cody. So I was down at our local big box. We have a big box liquor store here in Omaha that I hadn't been to yet, and I went to this Sunday. Picked up some Kentucky bourbon barrel aged strawberry ale. Pretty good. Not gonna lie, it was pretty good. It's on sale. It was $4.99 for 4 bottles. It's like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't I try that? So pretty good pour tonight. Let's see who makes this. Aged in bourbon barrels. Ooh, 8%. That could have been dangerous. Ale with natural flavors, aged in oak barrels. Who is the manufacturer on this thing? I guess I should have looked in advance, so I'm not. Kentucky Proud. I guess the brand is just Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale. There you go. It's pretty delicious. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. Thanks to everybody. Brian, Marv, Ken, I saw a little bit out there earlier. Rick, thanks for coming out. Joe and Ken, I said it twice. Thanks for coming out. We'll be back next Thursday with John Biggs. With that, we'll say goodbye.